Welcome to the School of Love, the place where miracles are normal. Hello and welcome to the School of Love, the place where we learn practical tools based on scientific research and our own experiences towards improving ourselves, living life to its fullest, and contributing to the best of our abilities to the world around us. I'm Dr. Grajdian. In my free time, I am doing my best to guide you in building up a life of contentment, joy, and fulfillment while applying lessons learned in school to overcome the difficulties, challenges, and insecurities of the real world. In this video, I focus on the dialectics of femininity in late modernity and its ideological transformation from an emotional space of warmth, kindness, and receptivity into a mental dystopia of cold calculation, disenchantment, and self-rejection, more often than not veiled as rejection of the outer world and immersion into an inner world of delusional self-iteration. Practical examples of this emerging paradigm of toxic femininity are found in various releases of anime, manga, video game products targeted at shonen teenage boys and or shoujo teenage girls audiences and subsequently accompanying them in their adulthood as seinen or young males and josei young females adaptations. From among these, the 26 episodes television animation series Noir, released in 2001 by B-Train Studio under the direction of Mashimo Koichi, is taken as case study to be critically analyzed. Julia Kristeva's Sujet and Process, accompanied by her interpretation of a motherly Cora as the incipient place of chaos and semiotic disruptions, slides at the core of this referential construction of female identity in late modernity as anti-shoujo in response to the overwhelming fetishization of the post-war shoujo in the Japanese popular discourse. Love is, in Kristeva's conceptualization of the symbolic transformation of pre-thetic repressions visible in arts and public expressions of creativity, the highest level of existential transcendence. The consumerist strategies visible in the Japanese society of late modernity turn out to be plain symptoms of a forever postponed confrontation with the individual reality, and therefore not a sustainable solution in terms of personal fulfillment or social cohesion. The gradual materialization of what might be labeled as anti-shoujo, namely the counter-prototype in terms of manga anime characters of the ideologically loaded and aesthetically challenging shoujo in popular productions of the entertainment industry, indicates an active preoccupation with available femininity paradigms, both by means of strategically coping with the consumer's insatiable expectations and in the name of artistically harnessing the power of the social unconscious mind. The post-war shoujo has evolved, in fact, from preparation for the classical ideal of femininity ryosei kenbo, which usually translates as good wife, wise mother, established by Meiji technocrats in late 19th century Japan in their ambition to regulate the Japanese population down to its very foundation in pre-war Japan, to its profoundly ambivalent alternative since late 1960s. Conversely, the anti-shoujo, as displayed in several anime products, suggests a reactionary questioning of female essence in Heidegger's parlance, resulting in a furious denial of love and collapse into seduction and desire as placebo strategies. When the animation series Noir was released in 2001, the rumor of the beginning of a new era in Japanese animation spread around specialized circles, particularly regarding the girls with guns subgenre. Noir's plot is simple and focuses on the deranged senpai-kohai relationship between the two female characters. The Corsican assassin Mirai Bouquet, established in Paris, and the traumatized, mysteriously amnesiac Japanese schoolgirl Yumura Kirika. Invited in an email by Kirika to make a pilgrimage to the past, Mirai travels to Japan to look for Kirika, and their first meeting is punctuated by questionable men who attempt to kill both of them, and by Kirika's amazing ability of disposing of those annoyances. To uncover the demons of their past, Mirai and Kirika form an uneasy alliance under the codename Noir, counterpointed by Kirika's pocket watch and its disturbing melody, obviously the key to both of their pasts. Soon, as further characters are introduced, the mysterious Chloe, a cold-as-ice assassin who carries out the bidding of the somehow occult organization Les Soldats without fail, and the creepy Altena, the mastermind behind Les Soldats, the dynamics of the history spices up. Mirai and Kirika keep on getting increasingly closer to solving the mystery behind Les Soldats and to finding the truth about themselves. This leads to a climactic finale, somehow open-ended and therefore questioning the predictability of the previous episodes. A classic anti-heroine of modernity, Mirai Bouquet is a charming compilation of Western knowledge and technology but lacks, unlike Yu Murakirika, Japanese spirit, thus becoming the archetype of a blurred identity, calling for bitter memories and their ironic repetition in art products to hide even more deeply the Japaneseness of anime as cultural productions originally imported from the West. Conversely, Kirika is a symptomatic Japanese female teenager with her blossoming sexuality and her inconspicuous inability to emotionally, mentally cope with it. Both characters disrupt the shoujo prototype through their ruthlessness and lack of respect towards rules and regulations, as well through their rejection of communal integration. There is a disturbing tension between internal convulsions and external brutality, of which they are an integral part. Characters as Mirai or Kirika take over the superiority of their modern counterparts, but question their perennial supremacy through their female-inflicted self-reflection. It is a pendulum motion in which the infamous hybrid self becomes a sujet unprocessed, a processual subject, or a permanent negotiation of identity in the liquid spectre of possible identification paradigms. It transcends the Japanese proposal of shoujo with its obsession for eternal youth, cuteness, and emotional availability into a more realistic model of kindness and caring. The two female assassins face their uncertainties and fears. Neither Mirai nor Kirika believe in commitment beyond the tasks at hand, but Mirai understands her duty of protecting Kirika from getting too involved in the world of regular citizens. Eventually, lonely outsiders in a world void of values and emotions, Mirai and Kirika learn to accept their isolation and to make the best out of it, culminating in a highly ambivalent finale. Composed by Kajiura Yuki, Noir's music soundtrack fabulously counterpoints its plain visual imaginary. It is easily most memorable with the beautiful melodies and acoustic combinations that are Kajiura's stylistic characteristics. Tense melodies reflect the insecurities and uncertainties of the characters' lives, while pounding techno beats with Latin singing intensify the battle, giving the show a more urgent feel. Within Noir's dramatic conglomerate, the title song Coppelia's Coffin tells in melodic incisiveness and asymmetric rhythms of the necessity of transitions employed by the ironic aristocratic Japanese band Ali Project. Resorting to pagan insinuations, Coppelia's Coffin implements death and regeneration as pathos-infused rites of passage transcending stability and change. Love and loss. Life itself and culture emerge as chances to revitalize the self in the midst of brutally contradictory society. The bewildering lyrics and the broken spectacular sounds mediate an overwhelmingly familiar universe of eternal returns and aborted initiation trips. elements which enchanted the shonen or male teenagers' audiences. Beyond being reminiscent of the 1980s underground blockbusters such as La Femme Nikita with its haunting film music by Eric Serra, Noir speaks through its highly paced action and unpredictable characters nuanced by the poignant music. It launches a fresh model of femininity on the background of increasingly disenchanted male viewers, confused as to what their role and position might be in a changing society, changing not by its standards, but by its gradual honesty in regard to potential life trajectories and lifestyles. The crisis of modernity which appears in the ideological background of Noir is the revenge of individualism. Aggressive identity patterns veiled as charismatic evil cannot purge the crisis of identification processes in late modernity. The identity confusion suggested by Mireille and Kirika is less based on real prototypes, but rather mirrors the ideological abysses of an era in which aesthetic challenges and historical trade-offs have become the unavoidable rule. Noir's hybridity is marked by warm tenderness, discreetly displayed beyond the traditional labeling of late modern Japan as an inscrutable empire of science at the end of history. As in the characters of Mireille and Kirika condensed, there is the visible effort of releasing soft cultural alternatives to the creatively exhausted late modernity on the historical background of youngest experiences, fears and hopes. In such a train of thought, it is less the aggressive conquest of the whole world to be addressed, but rather a peaceful togetherness to be attained in a common future. The disturbing, haunting musical structures constantly taking over the visual imaginary are solely one of the possible alternatives to the classical delimitations between alien and indigenous, tradition and innovation, identity and alterity, defying comfortable inscrutability, transcending the empire of science, pushing it beyond the end of history. As such, Noir's anti-shoujo characters contain the chance of identity revival and reinvigoration in the light of discreet tenderness, challenging late modern promiscuities. While Noir glorifies the unpredictability of life and its continuation as a playful endeavor and apocalypse as a destructive endeavor pursued by a savior, accompanied by a group of chosen ones to experience the teleological anticlimax as an ambivalent moral lesson, however not as a punishment but as liberation. In other animation series of the early 2000s, the forcible plot is rather the precondition for creatively expressing the fascination towards the remote past as a repository of good old times. Mireille and Kirika are representing two countermodels of modern heroes and of modern heroines, and as such mark the complete liquefaction of identity through the questioning of identification paradigms within the framework of social relationships. They indicate an important step in the process of attaining a fresh existential attitude to cope with current delusions and challenges. Noir compiles a new form of sinister counter-establishment movement through the mixture of Western ideological elements and Japanese lyrical images, and delivers an alternative mixture of Western artifacts and Japanese emotions. As an alternative to late modern Japanese quotidian life, heavily infused with Western influences and mercilessly conditioned by consumerism, excess and surplus, Noir displays in the flamboyant orchestration of these parameters the seemingly Western appearances of the characters, the consumption-driven marketing strategies, the representation practice commemorating excess and surplus, a potential model for a rigorous, disciplined life conduct focused on important tasks. They negotiate continuously important existential paradigms as identity and alterity, historical awareness and artistic creativity, ideological disenchantment and aesthetic nonconformism, while designing human typologies of tender encounters with love, compassion and kindness as their catalysts. So that would be from me for today. Thank you for joining me, thank you for listening to me, and I'm looking forward to welcoming you very soon again. Love and peace to you all.